Hi there, welcome to Huson DIY. My name's Ben. In this video we're checking out the OutIn Mino and the OutIn Fino. Okay, so previously on the Huson DIY channel we've checked out this product, which is the OutIn Portable Espresso Machine. So the OutIn Portable Espresso Machine here, as you can see, we've used this loads. We've used it mainly with these Nespresso pods, which have been great. You can also use it with ground coffee as well, which again is really, really good. I don't tend to do that because I don't really have a portable way at the moment to grind coffee. I do have a coffee machine at home, which I use, but on the go that is a little bit more difficult, and this is where this comes in. So this one is big apparently, because what OutIn have done is created a new one, which is kind of a mini version of this, a smaller version of this, making it easier to make coffee on the go. So this coffee machine, this OutIn, the original one, really, really good, really impressed with it. Really nice to use, really easy to use, really simple, really versatile with the coffee pods and the espresso pods and the grounds. As I mentioned, we only really use the Nespresso pods. Really, really easy to use on the go. Really cool as well in this box, in this carry case. But this is going for now, and we're going to try out the new devices from OutIn. So they sent these through for us to review, to try out, give our honest opinion on, which we will do in this video. So obviously the video will need to combine them both. So this will grind coffee beans, which you can then use inside this. I guess in theory, you could use it on the original as well. So, you know, it's not just for this, but it's grinding coffee to then use in the Coffee Mino, which we will cover in this video. Just a little side note, I'm not actually sure whether I'm saying that right. Coffee Mino, Coffee Mino, Coffee Fino, Coffee Fino. Who knows, my northern accent says things wrong a lot of the time. So, in the video we're going to unbox them both. I'll break the unboxings down separately, just to cover those off, and then we'll probably have to combine them together, obviously to grind some coffee in this one, and then make the coffee in this one. What we will be doing in this video is using preheated water. So as you'll see in a moment, a little bit of a tip, in the OutIn Portable Espresso Machine, it's much better, more economical for the battery that's built into this to use preheated water. So for me, what I do is carry a flask of water if I do take this on the go, a flask of preheated, pre-boiled, kettled water basically, in a flask. You can pour it into the actual OutIn, and that makes the actual coffee making quicker, but also reduces the kind of need for the battery, because a lot of the battery use in this is actually used for heating up the water. So if you have preheated water, obviously there's not as much work for this to do, meaning you can make more coffee. There is a number on that, I think, in terms of the difference between them, in terms of how many coffees you can get out of it. If it's in the instructions, I will read that out. If not, if I remember, I'll put it in the description. So let's stop talking. First of all, let's move the Fino, the grinder, to one side, and then we'll actually open this, the OutIn Mino or the OutIn Mino, who knows if I'm saying it right. So a portable electric espresso machine. You can see on the box there, coffee grinds, the coffee machines. Let's get inside this box, let's check it out. So, first impressions, nice, sustainable looking with the cardboard, the actual beige colour there, the actual carry case. That's one thing, it comes in a carry case, which is cool. Weight-wise, definitely lighter, so it was definitely smaller. We will do a side-by-side of that in a moment. We've got the essentials kit in there. We've got our different adapters, different pods that we need. So that looks like the coffee grind pod. I imagine the Espresso one comes built into it. We've got a couple more things there. And I think that is everything. So in the essentials kit, let's just check this out. So the essentials kit, we have got some stickers. We have got product registration card. We've got the user guide. Nothing in there. We've got a USB cable to obviously charge us up. So there's a USB cable into there to charge up the internal battery, which is what you need to make things on the go. And we've got some kind of metal kind of tool or adapter there. So that's that. Let's get inside this little carry case and check things out, the actual product. So there you can see, yeah, it's a lot smaller. I wasn't really sure how they would make it smaller, but they certainly have. So they have made it smaller. And as you can see there, yes, we've got the pre-installed Nespresso pod actual adapter there. So that's all ready to go inside the actual OutIn itself. Screw that back on. The cup, as per the other one, is there also. Okay, so hopefully you can see that just there. Let me just bring that forward a little bit. So you can see that there, we've got the lid on top of there where the water goes in. What we'll do, let me just bring the original over just to show you that side by side. So there you can see it's older, bigger brother. It's certainly bigger. The cup though is actually quite a bit bigger. So let's take off the cup and stand them side by side. So the height difference is a little bit less there. Weight-wise, I'm not sure there is much difference weight-wise actually. I'm not sure if we can find that out. If I can find that, I'll say that in a moment. But yeah, it's definitely smaller. It's not as thick. That's definitely thicker, the original. It's obviously not as tall, so it is smaller, but maybe not as smaller as I thought it might be. But this one, USB port on the back, very similar to the old one. Charge it up there. No problems whatsoever with charging, that just plugs straight into there. And as I mentioned, if you do use preheated water, it does help with battery life massively. So what I'll do, let me just have a quick read through the included user manual. I'll see if it's got any stats in there around the different amounts of coffee you can make, any more pointers that I need to point out to you guys, and then we'll actually go ahead and unbox the actual coffee grinder, the Fino/Fino. So back in a moment once I've read the instruction book. Okay, I've had a good read through the English part of the instructions. There's no information regarding statistics as such. In there, I don't believe. There is something here, just I've got dimensions. The water capacity is 70 ml max. The ground capacity, which is the coffee grind, the coffee grounds, of 12 grams, so use 12 grams of that. The battery is 3,000 milliamp hours, it mentions there, and a noise level of under 60 decibels. So nothing in there. There is some instruction on how to use the ground coffee and then espresso pod adapters. Super simple to use. Comes with this spoon, so you measure out your coffee grounds, your coffee grinds, coffee ground, you ground up coffee anyway in this spoon. You tip it into basically into this basket, so you can put that on top of there, flip it over, drop them in, or you can use this funnel as well. It comes with a funnel which you can pop on the top of the basket as well. So that just pushes onto the top of that basket there, and obviously you can then tip it into there. It's totally up to you which way you want to do it. And then once you've done that, use the spoon that you actually measured it out with as a tamper. So you tamper that down onto that basket to get a nice level, ready to pour kind of espresso. And then what you then do is put the lid on. So you got the lid for this here, pop it into that, then that screws onto the bottom there. So in theory, super simple. That is ready to go. I'm going to pop this on charge now because it does mention to fully charge it before using it. So we'll pop this onto charge. We'll unbox the Mino Fino while that's charging, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, we can soon make some coffee. So let's just move all this to one side a little bit. Let's just tidy things up, and then we'll unbox the Fino grinder now. So that's out of the way. Let's bring over the grinder. So we've got the Tundra Brown. I think this does come in two colours yet. So we've got this beige kind of white one that shows on the box there, but there is a sticker on there just mentioning the Tundra Brown variety that we have. So again, super simple to unbox. And there we have the actual grinder. So the OutIn Fino, the grinding has never been simpler. So that's it there. Let's get everything out of the box. We've got another carry case again for that one, which is really cool. And then we've got under here some accessories, which are the lid. I think that screws on somewhere. We've then got an air blower, so we can blow kind of coffee grinds out of the way, and a little brush just to keep things nice and clean. So that's a cool little touch that comes in the box. We've then got a hex key, I think for changing the grind setting possibly, and a charging cable also inside this box. So super simple. Again, we've got some paperwork in here by the looks of it. Let me just take a quick look inside there. So yeah, we've got the user guide in there. So again, I'll read through the user guide for the grinder, and then fingers crossed we can start grinding, get some coffee beans grounded up, and use them inside the Mino/Mino. So yeah, back in a moment after reading this user manual. Well, I'm more impressed than I actually thought I would have been. This is really, really cool. So I was wondering how it actually works. So I will get some close-ups, but hopefully you can kind of see on the video what's going on here. So around here, there are a series of numbers, and they correlate with the kind of grind size of the coffee beans you're putting in. So depending on the type of coffee you're grinding for, obviously will depend on the kind of coarseness or the fineness of the coffee bean grinding. So for an espresso, you're looking between 1 and 2. There is a guide inside the instruction book around what you should go with. So for us, we're going to do an espresso, so I probably will go between 1 and 2, somewhere in between there. The coffee beans I'm using at the moment are really finely ground when I do use them on my Ninja coffee machine. So we'll probably go for maybe even one. We'll try one and go really, really fine and see how that comes out. But on here, the cup on the bottom screws onto there. So that's the dosing cup. So that's where the coffee grind, or the coffee ground, sorry, will go once the ground through here. Now, to get the coffee beans into it, there is actually, this top bit does expand. So let me just try and show you the best I possibly can. So this does rotate, it kind of pops up. So what you do is you drop the coffee beans into there, into this kind of hole, let's say. 25 grams maximum can be dropped into there. So you probably want to dose those out, measure those out before you do so. So you drop those into there. That then closes on top of the coffee ground, or coffee beans, sorry. And then obviously you've got your coffee grind setting all ready to go. And it's just a case of powering this on and doing it with a double press of the power button. That will then grind through there and empty out or appear in this cup. Now, once you've done that, obviously you can use it straight away if you're doing it straight away, but this lid that comes with it actually screws onto there, which means you can then take this with you. You've got some pre-ground, pre-grinded coffee beans. Take that with you in a rucksack, for example, and use that when you're ready to go. When you are ready to use that, it gets even better. So the whole ecosystem of OutIn kind of comes into full play. So on this here, you can then unscrew this element, which is kind of leaves obviously the coffee grinds ready to go. Now, what you do is the basket for the espresso from the OutIn Mino, or the main OutIn. Obviously, you've got this basket here. So this can, in theory then, if we take the lid off this one, so if we've got this here, the actual where the coffee grinds are going to go into, we can then get the funnel itself, pop that onto there, and tip that over and tap things. Obviously the grinds will then go into the basket through that funnel. So the funnel really comes into play there. Into your actual basket, you can then put your, tamper it down, obviously with your tamper. So tamper things down there, lid on, then into the actual Mino, and away you go making your espresso. So the full ecosystem kind of comes together. You can incorporate both into one another, which, I mean, does make sense, but, you know, great that OutIn they've done that to kind of bring things together. So you can combine both the Fino and the Mino, the Mino, the Fino, whatever it's called. So yeah, super impressed. The quality of the build is really fantastic. So the actual materials are great. The actual feel of the device, the actual grinder, for example, just the components in there feel really, really solid, like they'd last for a long time. And I have found on the original OutIn that I've got that it's really durable. The actual quality of that, the build of that is really, really good. And this is no different. So I'm going to stop talking again, and we're going to actually try and use this basically. So again, I probably need to charge this up just to make sure it's fully charged. I don't want to not use it with kind of a degraded battery. It might damage the battery. So I want to get these fully charged and use them. So at the moment, I'm filming this on an evening. I may not have time on the evening. So when we do come back, it may be a different day, a different time. So we'll get these fully charged, ready to go. But hopefully that's give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of both devices, unboxing, how to use them. Yeah, I've talked a lot there, so apologies. So we will be back soon with the actual footage once these are fully charged. In the meantime, I'll get some close-ups of everything that you get included, which is a lot, to be fair. The carry cases for both are included. I do have the actual main hard shell carry case, which I may transfer the Mino into, but we'll see. So yeah, close-ups, then some real footage, some tasting of coffee, and we'll see how these things can actually really perform in real life. So we'll be back soon with some real footage. Okay, here we are at the coffee making table. It's not a coffee making table, but we're at a table to make some coffee. So I've got the Mino, I've got the Fino, I've got the coffee, which I don't think I mentioned yet. This is coffee from Rave. I use coffee from Rave. I have a subscription with Rave, and not for this coffee. This is the Strong as Fuck and Fun number 666 coffee. Now I do use an Italian coffee with Rave. This one I got as like an extra add-on that I bought for 1 month. It's a whole bean, roasted to death, so it's a real strong roast. Tastes like dark chocolate, toasted nuts, and victory. So Rave, great coffee brand. I've used Rave beans since I've really bought the Ninja Lux Cafe, which I will link to somewhere in this video. Love using the Ninja Lux Cafe, and I've not steered away from Rave. I tried some kind of supermarket ones, kind of Costa and stuff, but I stuck with Rave all the way. So we will be using the Rave coffee beans in this video to grind up in the Mino. Grind up in the Fino and making the Mino. So let's get on with it. So I'll probably just talk through a couple of bits. I'll speed some bits up as well, so you're not sat watching me just look at coffee beans grind. But some couple of basic bits about the actual grinding and the making. So in this flask here, which I am recording some more video footage on this way, there's some hot water in there. So just to point out, I will be using hot water in the actual Mino. So when I actually do make the coffee in the Mino, I'm going to use hot water so I don't have to warm the coffee up through there. Makes the battery last longer, you can get more uses out of it. So that's one little top tip first of all. So hot water will be going in there. A couple of short presses on that will make coffee, but the actual grinding first of all. So that comes up. I think I need to weigh out about 25 grams of coffee beans. So I'll weigh 25 grams of beans on here, pour them into there, shut this down. We've got it on 2. I'm going to just go with 2. Bang on 2 for my grinding size. Bang on 2. That'll grind it into this cup, and then we'll then use the grinds or the ground up coffee to make the actual coffee with the attachment for the actual Mino. So let's get weighing first of all. So I'll weigh some coffee beans out first of all on here. Okay, so I've got 20 grams of coffee beans actually weighed out in there. Now, I think I said 25 in there, didn't I? I don't know if that's how much you can grind maximum in here. I'm not sure, but I will pour these in and I'll see what happens. Basically, let's just go for it. So let me just screw the bottom on here first of all. So I'm going to pour these into the top of here. And I'm going to screw this back down. So that keeps obviously the coffee beans in. I'm going to make sure that's on 2. And I'm going to press the button. And I'm going to press and hold it. Okay, so it's finished grinding now. It took maybe a minute to grind all them up. So I'm going to unscrew this now. Oh, okay. Oh. So there is some stuck to the actual inside of here. I am getting coffee absolutely everywhere. We'll leave that there for 1 second. So I made a mess, but that's not a problem. So there's plenty of coffee in there. So I assume there's going to be more than enough for 1 in there. That was 20 grams. And I think what it did is it automatically stopped grinding once it detected there were beans gone. So that's 20 grams of coffee beans grinded up inside of there. Hopefully you picked up the audio from there. But you could hear it grinding and you could hear it stop at the end. So that worked fairly well. So I'll put the beans sealed up to one side for now. Then what we need to do now is we need to grab this spoon, which acts as a spoon but also as a tamper as well. So we tamper down inside of this. So we need to get the actual porter filter, I guess that's the actual porter filter. So we need to get a spoonful of this and pop it inside of there, basically into there. So let's do that now, and then we can then tamper it down. So let's see how easy it is to do this. Okay, so we'll do that, and I'll pop this on top of there. Turn that over. Okay, clean enough. Let's give that a little bit of a wobble. And then we can tamper this down. Okay. We've got a nice circular kind of pickup there as well from the bottom of that tamper. It's a little bit messy, but it's kind of maybe just me being a little bit messy. Then the lid goes on here, so we'll pop the lid on. In fact, let's just clean that up a little bit. I've misplaced a little air pump somewhere, I can't find it, but we'll just use that for now. So that is that on top of there, nice and solid, ready to go. Then we take this, pop that inside of there, and we simply then put this onto the actual Mino so we can make the coffee with the Mino. So let's take the actual cup off. This should then screw onto here like so. Nice and tight. And we'll pop the cup back on. Like so. And we definitely do have enough grounds there for at least one more spoonful there. So 20 grams. So I can't remember how much actually per espresso the kind of rule is. Is it like 8 grams or something? Coffee beans? I don't know. If anyone knows watching this, pop it in the comment section. Let me know what the actual grams per espresso shot should be, like scientifically. So that's that ready. We've got the lid here. So we take the lid off. That's where the water goes into. There should be a couple of markers on here. So what we'll do is I'll go to 50 mil. So I'll go into the 50 mil mark that's just in there. You might not be able to go to this camera. There's just a couple of marks on the back of there. I'm going to use my hot water from my flask into here, and then we'll then use that hot water through the actual coffee machine. So I'll just grab this camera, because I've got my flask, using the flask to prop that up. So I'm going to just pop that camera there. And I'm going to pour some of this water into the flask. Sorry, I'm pour some of the water from the flask into the Mino. So that's 50 mil, that's on the 50 mil line. Put that down there. Bring this camera back round, like so. Pop the lid on. And what we should do now is 2 short presses on there. That'll take the hot water straight through and make the coffee. Now what you can do, if you press and hold it, if you are using cold water, you press and hold the button and that heats up the water as well. But we're just going to use the hot water. It's literally just out of the kettle about 5 minutes ago. So I'm going to double short press this now. Then we should hopefully get water come through this, through the machine, push through those grounded up beans, and we should have a really nice coffee. Fingers crossed anyway. So let's double press this. So you can hear that now, hopefully, through the my microphone there. So it's pushing that through. You can hear it slightly change, obviously, as it's working harder to force that water through. Did fill up a little bit too quickly there. There we go. Yeah, that was probably a little bit too much for it secured on. That was my mistake. So let's just pop that to one side. You can see, obviously, the coffee that's come through there. We'll clean all that down after. But there we go, we've got an espresso, good size kind of shot in there. It's almost a double, I'd say, actually, 50 mil. Well, 50 mil is a double, I think, actually. So we've probably got a double espresso come through there. Whether we've got enough ground beans for a double, I'm not so sure. But smell, it is a super strong coffee. It is the 666, the 666 from Rave. So it's a strong coffee. Now I'll give it a taste. Strong, nice and strong. Really, really nice and smooth. Exactly as I expect that coffee from Rave to be. The water probably maybe is a little bit too cold, but it's not affected the coffee, I would say. Still tastes decent. Good espresso shot. Really, really strong though. As I mentioned, it is the 666, number 666 from Rave. The strong AF. Roasted to death. Tastes like dark chocolate, toasted nuts. It really does. Really like a bitter dark chocolate. If you're not into that bitterness, that like 80% cocoa kind of taste from chocolate, then you won't like that. But I love chocolate that strong, which is really nice. So let me just finish this off. Beautiful. As I say, maybe it could have been a bit warmer, the water, but that's like perfect temperature to drink straight away. So if you are drinking it straight away, that is obviously ideal. So let me just take this off, unscrew this. Because obviously we'll need to clean this up. So that's the main element that you use for all the attachments there. Nice compacted grinds in there though, as you can hopefully see. Let me hold it to that camera as well. Not messy, there's no water on top of there. So that amount of water that's been pressed through is probably almost better than what I get from my Ninja Lux Cafe. So very, very impressed with that. Really nice coffee. So overall, really, really impressed. Okay, we're all done now with the Mino, which is the coffee maker, the espresso maker, and the Fino, which is the grinder. So some grinds on top of there, that will need cleaning out. I do need to find the actual little air blowing tool somewhere. I think I've misplaced it somewhere. I will find that just to use it, just to clean things out with. Things need a bit of a rinse. But as you can see, super easy to do with the grinder and the espresso maker. Obviously, you can make your grinds, you can make a few. I've got probably enough for at least one more in there, I reckon. At least one more, maybe a couple perhaps. But you could make a good batch in that little flask there. And as I think I mentioned it earlier in the video, I didn't actually do it properly. I'm supposed to put the lid onto there, take that other lid off, then use this on top of there to pour it in. So I did it a little bit wrong actually. Oh no, into the spoon, sorry, don't you? Yeah, but anyway, works absolutely fine. We've got the coffee grinds in there, so I can actually save them now. So they won't go to waste, so I can save them in that little coffee grind flask. It does say do not wash actually on there, so probably just a little bit of a rinse out if required. The only issue I kind of hit there, or almost hit, was obviously when I was pouring the coffee through, the cup was filling up a little bit too fast. Now I have seen there is a contraption you can get for this where it kind of holds the actual Mino, the actual espresso maker in kind of a stand, and you can pour water out of it into a cup, or this cup. So I might look at that actually to get that, see if that's any good. But I think that's more if you're using it in place. I do plan to use this kind of on walks, maybe at work perhaps, chuck it in my bag if I go on a work trip, or even just in the office at work, just for some nice coffee. And top tip, as I mentioned, is to use the hot water. So use the water in my flask into the machine. So if you can keep water hot in the flask, do it that way. It just saves the battery. It means you don't have to use the battery to warm up the water. It means you can get more coffee out of it, make more cups of coffee without having to recharge this. If you don't have a problem recharging this, then that might not be an issue, perhaps. But yeah, you will get more coffees out of this if you do use hot water directly into it. Kind of obvious, but just wanted to point that out. Okay, all done now with the initial video on the Mino and the Fino, kind of an unboxing obviously of both devices, how to use them, how to operate them. We've done a quick test coffee out of them, super, super impressed, really easy to use, straight out of the box, not really following the instructions. There are some helpful stickers on the actual devices as well, kind of telling you how to use it, so you could leave them on if you wanted, but I guess you'd learn how to use it pretty quickly Anyway, hopefully the video has been informative. If it has, please do give it a thumbs up, give it a like. If not for any reason, give it a thumbs down, give it a dislike. Do let me know in the comment section why. Any questions about either the Mino or the Fino, or anything about the coffee, for example, the Rave coffee. As I mentioned, I'm not sponsored by Rave, but I do use Rave day in, day out on my Ninja Cafe Lux, and I will be using this on the Mino and the Fino. Really, really impressed how it's worked in that as well. I'll also drop links in the description for the Mino, the Fino and the coffee, just so you can have a look at those if you fancy getting them for yourself. And if you do have any questions, as I mentioned, please do drop them in the comment section. We'll reply to all questions and comments. And if you want to follow the Huson DIY channel for more product reviews, tech reviews, DIY projects and much, much more, hit that subscribe button and I'll see you on the next one.